Good afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. My name is Priscilla, and this is my friend Heather and co-host. Welcome, Heather. How are you today?
Doing good.
Good. Good. Have you drawn your cards yet?
Yeah.
Yo-hoo! So I want to say hi to Lark in the chat and White Dragon. He's here today. And this show is thanks to you, White Dragon. We have been researching what you sent, the information you sent us. And so thank you very much for this show on Atlantis. Yeah. Are you ready, girl? Already?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Majestic Oracle.
This is us, and we all have faith. But sometimes vibrations, our vibrations, the vibrations outside, the vibrations of the world, the vibrations of other people, they get in the way of our faith and what we know is right. At the same time, all the knowledge is in our soul. It's there. And we keep getting more all the time. And our body's trying to rejuvenate. And I've got to say, mine has done a good job. A couple surgeries, pretty much.
Yay!
And that's great
for that bloody cough.
Yeah. Well, it will go in time. I have been informed.
Good.
So, and in fact, it was doing really well until I started talking again. Oh well. Anyway, so when the vibration begins to get to us, what we need to do is allow ourselves to take flight and soar and be who we are, because that will help bring our vibrations back up. And the ones that are around us won't affect us so much. And when we do that, then our intuition goes back to where it should be. Good. Because our intuition is affected by our vibrations and the vibrations around us if we allow them to help bring us down.
True enough.
Yeah.
True enough.
So anyway, don't forget to let yourself soar. Now, to soar, maybe you're going to go dancing around the house, or maybe you're going to listen to some really upbeat music, or even watch a really upbeat, silly, sappy movie. They will lift your vibrations. So whatever it is that you need to do to be able to soar, do it.
Do it. Go do it. That sounds like good advice for any time, actually. I like that. Okay, I'm going to start that for a minute in a little bit. So White Dragon says we've got 3 major downloads coming this month. Yes, we've all been there before. I guess you're talking about Atlantis. Ground and process. Good advice. Thanks, White Dragon.
Right.
So we're going to talk about Atlantis today. That's our show, the fall of Atlantis, and how they used the crystals that they had in Atlantis. This information is channeled from Metatron by a man called James Tiberone. He's the author of the Earthkeeper Chronicles, which I believe you can find and download off the internet. The book, not so much. It was $1,000 on Amazon, so I didn't buy the book, but I was sorely tempted, except for I know you can get it cheaper and you can get it free online, which Heather managed to do. So with that said, take this with a grain of salt. This is not my information. This is channeled from the Archangel Metatron by this author, James Tiberone. Now, I have asked my Akashic Records guides if this information is true, and they said that it was true. So there you go. Take what resonates and leave the rest. And you ready? Let's get after it. I got chills all over my body. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that this doesn't go into detail on the crystals. That's
No, next
later.
week's show is going into the detail of the crystals that were saved and that were moved before Atlantis disappeared.
Right.
Atlantis actually existed for over 200,000 years. It was enormous.
Yeah, I was going to say, I always thought it was just for a short time. But
I had no idea it was 200,000 years. I had absolutely no idea. And the golden period of Atlantis was the highest level of light consciousness ever achieved on the earth plane in any advanced civilization. The golden phase, oh, actually, I have slides. Woohoo, slides. Yeah. Thank you, Warrior Girl. Welcome. Hi, Susie. Welcome. Okay. So here we go. The golden period, 40,000 BC to 18,000 BC. The deluge was 17,500 BC. But let me go back to this real quick. The golden phase of Atlantis was from 40,000 BC to 18,000 BC, a time when gods walked with men, an all new joyful expression. Now, the information that's coming through is channeled. So this is Archangel Metatron giving this information. More body chills. It was the hallowed time when many of you walked as star children and later chose biology and the lesson cycles of reincarnation on the blue planet called Earth. The Atlantean hologram. So we speak of once mighty Atlantis as we speak to all of you, for Atlantis is a great hologramic lesson, and one whose time has returned, for the memory of Atlantis is not just a healing. Indeed, for some, it is a requisite healing, a necessary cleansing, but for others, it is also a benevolent empowerment.
It recalled the time when you walked in wisdom and harmony. Regardless of your mirrored roles in Atlanta and dear ones, 70% of all the planet Earth at this time experienced physicality there.
Okay, so this goes with what White Dragon said a little while ago. 70% of us were in Atlanta at one time or another, possibly multiple lifetimes, but 70% of the people on this planet right now. So if you really feel a connection with Atlantis, guess what? You were probably there.
And I have been told that I was there a couple of times.
Me too.
Yeah. So, well, in 200,000 years, I suppose that's likely.
Yeah.
Anyway, the deluge of 1750 BC. That was the start of the downward spiral of the final phase. The time is after the second deluge, when the utopian golden age subsided and Atlantis split into 5 islands. The 3 major islands were Poseida, Arion, and Og. The 2 smaller islands were under the rule of the Aryan race and were known as Italia and Air, or Aya. How would you say that? Anyway,
like Jane Eyre. So Air, Italian and Air.
Mm-hmm. An aristocracy of sports evolved that consisted of 2 opposing ideologies. The 2 major components of these were the Atlanta scientist priesthood of the law of one, and it was based predominantly on the island of Poseida and the Aryan race of the sons of Belial, based on the Isle of Arion. The island of Arion was the most populated and exerted influence and political control over Og, Italia, and Air.
The Isle of Poseida was the planet's most potent vortex portal complex at the time of Atlantis. The Poseida grouping and isle housed the Temple of Healing, the Temple of Sound, the Temple of One, the Temple of Regeneration, and the Temple of Knowledge. Poseida housed most of the major centers for higher learning These were placed on Poseidon because of its advantageous location within the geodesic grids and its proximity to beneficial electromagnetic energies that spiraled up from the Earth's core. An incredibly potent healing spring flowed on Poseidon near the Temple of Healing, and its lore spawned the myths of the Fountain of Youth passed down by the indigenous people of Florida. And it flows yet into the oceans near Bimini. Ooh, I think that's cool. I want to go find it.
Yeah. Maybe we have. I don't know. The tall ones, the golden race of Atlantis, of Palladian seed, were centered in Poseidon. These ones, they averaged between 10 and 12 feet in stature. These were a gentle race of giants involved in the cultural, artistic, and educational pursuits in the heart of Atlantis. Poseidon was also the headquarters and nucleus of the crystalline power grid and the interdimensional tunnel system. The most advanced, complex, and beautiful of the crystals were here. And they were Arcturian and Syrian Palladian construct, a living amalgam of many crystalline forms imbued with an alloy of platinum and gold. The crystals were housed in magnificent temples, some built of marble, others of crystalline sheets of beryl, corundum, and diamond. The city of Poseidon was the capital city of the island, and it was called the Emerald City.
I love that. There was really an Emerald City.
It really was.
I think that's cool. Its bioplasmic field was projected into a shimmering, glowing aurora of emerald green, visible for miles. The Atlanteans had perfected with Arcturian technology the ability to grow crystals of every structure and essence in an accelerated growth within the underground crystal beds of, guess where? Arkansas, Tibet, and Brazil, all being Atlantean colonies accessed through the interdimensional tunnel system. Fascinating. Throughout Atlantis, power grid crystals called posers were triangulated and connected through an alloyed gold copper rod under a spherical dome that could be angled to receive specific stellar, solar, and gravitational energy waves. This was the system used to power homes, offices, media, and theaters, manufacturing concerns, medical centers, schools, and businesses. The whole of
Right.
Atlantis was powered by crystal grids.
Mhm.
Wow. That blows my mind.
Yeah. Now, the poser system was received in each structure by receiving crystal units of various sizes. The poser system was also able to receive specialized refracted light and feed it into the ley energy system for use in the interdimensional tunnel system. And it feed crystalline light into conductive earth currents to raise the frequency into a semi-aware electromagnetic plasma field of benevolent energy capable of retaining spiritual frequencies. Now, a great crystalline satellite, referred to as the second moon of Atlantis, floated above in the skies and received amplified and reflected refined energy back to the crystals for various beneficial purposes. It served both the posers and the master crystals used in the temple. Specialized energy fields were projected into agricultural and crystal growing areas to amplify and accelerate the growth, as well as into universities, hospitals, schools, offices, factories, and workplaces to create a sense of well-being and invigoration for the workers and students.
You know, I have been having full body chills the whole time we're sitting here. This is just mind-blowing information.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, in the prior two breakups of Atlantis, this is for information. I mean, entertainment is for purposes only. Okay. In the prior two breakups of Atlantis, the first in 58,000 BC, the second being in 17,500 BC, technology still remained at an advanced level. Yet the harmony experienced in the golden age of Atlantis spiraled downward after the breakup of into the islands in 17,500 BC, as the islands grew into separately governed entities, which held to very different ideologies in the initially chaotic and difficult period of reconstruction immediately after the breakup. Poseidon remained within the contingency of the spiritual law of one, while the people of Arian became gradually engrossed in power and materialism. Sound familiar, guys? A highly disciplined
Two
and
parties.
evolved. Do what?
It was like two parties.
Yeah. A highly disciplined and evolved sect of priests held the technological wisdom and expertise of managing the crystal power grids. The vast majority of the Atla Ra were of the tall golden race, but there were also members from the bronze, white, Lemurian brown, and cetacean races. Regarding this information, we'll put a link in the comments after it's loaded up, because this is just a tiny portion of the information that was there
And is available.
and is available free for anybody to read. I obviously could not put it all in this program, so I highly suggest that you go read it all for yourself, because it's absolutely fascinating.
It is fascinating.
And they talk about the dolphin races, and I can't remember if it was just the dolphins or other cetaceous breeds.
And it is easy reading, so it's not like you're looking at a textbook. Okay.
No, this actually is verbatim to the document. This is, I didn't change anything about any of this that I'm reading. Yes, Ron, I believe you probably were there, since 70% of us on this planet right now were in Atlantis. Yeah. And I have had past lives that have been read in Atlanta, as has Heather. So it's no surprise that many of us have been there.
And remember, it was there for 2,000 years.
200,000 years.
Right. So the chances of you not being there sometime,
I think, are pretty minor. Yeah. Okay, Heather, back over to you.
The sect of scientist priests were referred to as Atla Ra. The Atla Ra maintained the highest standards of consciousness and were able to continue vibrating at very high frequencies of consciousness, at and above the level of the 12th dimensional light and energy, remaining very pure and resonant with the true oneness concept of the Creator God. They sustained higher dimensional telepathic contact with the advanced space brethren from the Pleiades, Arcturus, Andromeda, and Sirius. The Isle of Arian was the largest of the Atlantean islands and the most populated. Arian was the commercial center and yielded the most influence from economic, agricultural, and military perspective. And after the second deluge, Arian was significantly damaged, and the infrastructure required a chaotic stage of rebuilding.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, in the process, the state became controlled by an elitist, affluent white race who gained control of the economy, military powers, and island state government. Even though the majority of the populace were themselves of the bronze or red race. Excuse me?
I was going to say, does that sound familiar?
I know, it's just crazy. From Arian grew a corrupt power-minded aristocracy who sought to block the law of one and utilize Atlantis' technology for control of the world, this through the utilization of crystalline energy for weaponry and use of genetic science for development and retention of an inferior race to serve as workers and soldiers. Bastages. The
Mhm.
genetic engineering was based in Maruvia on Aryan. It had originally been used for benevolent purposes, but in the chaos of the Reconstruction period, genetic engineering came under the control of the Belial group on Aryan, and they denigrated into corrupt uses of greed and power. Why am I not surprised?
Mhm. Many of the genetic scientists were initially kept unaware of what their research and development work was being used for until it was essentially too late for them to stop it. Some of you carry great guilt to this day as a result of this work, or some of us.
Yeah, some of us incarnated now. Yeah.
This use of genetically engineered servant classes led to the great rift between the Atlanra,
Atla-Ra.
I have trouble with that word. Atlanra priesthood-led race of Poseidon following the law of one, and the Aryan race known as the son of Belial, the latter of which became so engrossed and hardened in the materialistic ambitions of the industrial machine that they lost sight of the spiritual ethics that had prevailed over the continent of Atlantis in the previous golden era. Genetic engineering for commercial purposes was highly opposed by the spirit Atlanra and Poseidon's of the law of one. The law of one found it a form of cruel slavery and morally abhorrent.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I find it the same. The law of one remained a nurturing matriarchal spiritual culture, while the Aryan grew into a powerful military corporate society dominated by the upper class. For several millennia, the two ideologies remained headlocked over this issue, and government agencies were in a state of delicate impasse. The Poseidonians were far too cultured and gentle in nature to attempt to fight the Aryans, and sought to educate them and spiritually influence them into changing their ways. The Aryans, who outnumbered the Poseidonians 3-1, dared not attack them lest they had the crystalline energy that powered the nation shut off. In the interim, outbreaks of war erupted between the Aryan-controlled Atlantean military as the former colonies of Atlantis, located in the Mediterranean areas, broke traditional ties and developed their own independent governments. The colonies, particularly those in Greece and Turkey, saw the change from the utopian Atlantis to the military fascist state controlled by the Aryans and sought to break away.
Wonder why. And although the Aryans had the military edge, the Mediterranean states did not succumb, and regional colonial wars raged on with neither side able to dominate the other. Factions within the Aryan race increasingly sought to be able to use crystal energy to quell their adversaries. I got this thing, I want to use it. Mhm. This was firmly refused to them by the Atlanra priesthood and the law of one populace of Poseidon. In a great deceptive scheme, disguised as a plan for unification, the Aryans approached the Poseidons with the formation of a renewed national congress to work out their growingly tense differences and bring harmony to Atlantis. The congress was formalized with an equal amount of representation from the two parties. It appeared for several decades that the promise of change and betterment might come about from that National Congress.
But alas, initially the National Congress did improve relations, and many minor superficial laws that promised unity were set in motion. Yet the primary points of opposition, the genetic slavery and crystal energy management, remain unresolved. However, from within the Aryan sons of Belial had risen a hypnotic, charismatic leadership who seduced the masses in Atlantis into believing they were the answer to returning Atlantis to its lost golden age of prominence and abundance. This one's really going to kick your butt. The leaders of this group were the souls that you know as Hitler and Himmler Indeed, the supremacist Nazis of your World War II. Chills again. Large militaristic legions were formed and gained the edge in covert political persuasion and power. Through legalized governmental control, the use of crystal power complex and grids came under governmental control under the Aryan sons of Belial and sadly could not be reversed.
Mhm. That which was known as the second moon of Atlantis, the crystalline poser grids and fire crystals came under governmental control. And their usage became altered as the Aryan insider knowledge of the programming grew. The second moon of Atlantis was in fact a massive crystalline satellite. It was of Arcturian construct and managed by the priest scientists of the Law of One. The crystalline satellite was an enormous, unmanned sphere of brilliant engineering, approximately 5 miles in diameter. It had been in use since the golden age of Atlantis and served myriad benevolent purposes. It was somewhat of a computerized macrochip that refracted, amplified, and reflected powerfully refined beams of energy. For use in agriculture, weather control, tide control, healing temples, regeneration temples, and enhanced ley energy systems generated by the crystal poser system. It loomed in the skies over Atlantis and appeared as a golden harvest moon, and thus was known as the second moon of Atlantis.
Can you imagine those crystal grids all over the planet?
And
Everything
I think of
being
ley
run. I'm sorry?
I think of ley lines.
Yeah, absolutely. The satellite crystal moon did not orbit the Earth. It moved as programmed, self-directed, constantly shifting locations in order to perform its mirrored task over Atlantis, Africa, and the eastern seaboard of Brazil. After the crystal and grid complex legally came under federalized Aryan control, the Belial group integrated their own technologists into the engineering group, quickly replacing key department heads with their own. The Atla-Ra attempted to block their attempt to reprogram the satellite for war usage, explaining that overloading the satellite would dissipate the anti-gravity field that maneuvered it and a catastrophic crash could occur. The Aryan scientists debunked the claim. Some of the Atla-Ra were threatened and were removed. Others began to mysteriously disappear. The governing council allowed for the satellite to become a strategic defense weapon, certain it would function as programmed and bring a quick end to the rebellion wars in the colonies.
And the Aryan Belial scientists, with the council approval, reprogrammed a system bypass and began sending destructive thermal light beams. Used to initiate volcanic eruptions and massive earthquakes against the colonies and nations who refused to give in to their demands. These were aimed at the areas of what is now Greece and Turkey and caused great devastation. Indeed, it gave the zealous Aryan Belials the battle advantage they so fervently desired, and they jubilantly increased its usage with support of most of the populace. The crystal second moon satellite began to overload, weakening the anti-gravity field that kept it afloat. The Atla-Ra priesthood understood the implications of what would soon occur when the programming crashed, but their plan and their pleas to the council continued to be ignored. The Aryan-led National Council refused the suggestion to incinerate the satellite, disbelieving that it would crash, and held to minimizing the effect of the impact, even if it did.
Uh-oh. An inner group of loyalists within the Atla-Ra and Law of One planned a circuitry disconnection and imminent relocation of the fire and energy crystals to various safe locations before the impending crash of the master satellite. This was done with the technology and assistance of those extraterrestrials from the planet Sirius B within the Sirius solar system. Trusted members of the Atla-Ra priesthood worked furiously and hastily gathered data recording crystals, crystalline skulls, and engraved historical records for secure placements in Yucatan, Alexandria, and Giza. Atlantis had numerous power crystals located through the 5 islands and along specific relay routes of the underground tunnel labyrinth system. This was only partially accomplished. So much was not able to be saved.
Atlantis had numerous power crystals located throughout the 5 islands and along specific relay routes to the underground tunnel labyrinths. The Atla-Ra priesthood knew that once the modulated motherboard of the crystal moon satellite lost its anti-gravity field, it would crash in a huge explosion. And its crashing would subsequently wreak havoc on the major and poser energy crystals, creating catastrophic secondary explosions of a nuclear class within hours or days of the crash. The Atla-Ra, with assistance from Syrian-Palladian Alliance of the Galactic Federation, wanted to ensure the master crystals would not be destroyed or used for any further negative purpose, and be saved for a time when mankind could use them as they were intended. They understood the power required to transport them would be lost after the crash of the second moon satellite, and that urgent expediency was required.
7 of the enormous crystals, the enormous primary crystals, and 2 slightly smaller but incredible Arcturian crystals were relocated within the hyperdimensional transport systems of the underground tunnel system with the help of the Syrian-Pleiadian Alliance. 3 huge primary crystals were relocated to the Atlantean crystal fields of Arkansas. 2 were relocated to the underground crystal farms of Brazil in the areas of Bahia and Minas Gerais. I have no idea how to say that. 1 was relocated to an underground cavern, Telos, below Mount Shasta. And the Great Fire Crystal, didn't I have a slide on this? Right.
Yep.
And the Great Fire Crystal was placed underground in a chasm below the Bimini Bank in the Sargasso Sea. The 2 sacred Arcturian crystals were located in the caverns beneath the area of Tiahuanaco, Bolivia, near Lake Titicaca. All 9 were put in dimensional locks, essentially powered down into energetic dormancy through the technology of the Syrian-Pleiadian Alliance. After a few months of being utilized for the thermal death ray technology, the Great Crystal Moon satellite overloaded.
And before we go on, you were talking about one being at Mount Shasta. Do you remember that photograph I took where Shasta was there and then it wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the crystal had something to do with that.
Ooh, I don't know.
It
I
just
wish I thought about putting those pictures here. That would have been neat. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Hadn't thought about it. Okay.
Okay, its anti-gravity cushion weakened. The satellite's anti-gravity cushion weakened, and it crashed with the accelerated velocity of a massive comet in a horrific explosion that devastated most of the island of Og, and critically weakened the tectonic stability of the whole Atlantean tectonic plate, vaporizing massive sections of substrata. The great crystal satellite shattered into billions of fragmented crystalline shards, which now fill the deep trenches of the Atlantic. Massive clouds of dust and smoke erupted, hiding the sun. Waves of earthquakes and tsunamis devastated the island and sent great tidal waves over 2/3 of the island of Arion. Within minutes, the remaining power stations exploded with the strength of nuclear bombs.
Wow.
The rest of Atlantis and the eastern coast of Brazil and the western coast of Africa were devastated with subsequent earthquakes. Panic and havoc ensued for 3 to 4 weeks as the remaining dry areas shook and land masses collapsed into the sea, creating enormous tsunamis.
The land bridge that connected Poseidon and Og to the Yucatan remained above water initially and was literally filled with hundreds of thousands of Atlanteans frantically attempting to escape in a horrendous panic-filled exodus. And then in one shattering gasp, the remaining lands collapsed downward into the sea. The displaced seas that became known as the Great Flood sent dozens of enormous tsunamis that spilled over the Americas, Africa, and Europe. Only a few mountaintops of Atlantis remained dry, the Azores. But the survivors were distraught, traumatized across the globe. Very few places were unaffected, and a downward spiral had begun. It is a dramatic scene that has for many, many lifetimes plagued and darkened the memories of many of you who were indeed a part of it.
So, dear ones, such is the illusion of power. You see, when one gains power, that which must seem right can often be an illusion of ego. Each of the road of mastery must eventually decide between power and love. Even the one you called Hitler thought the master race scenario would enable a better future for Earth, with one supreme physical embodiment being the single eventual race that all souls would reincarnate into, reducing disease and eliminating racial division by having only one master race. Even the one you called Judas in your biblical allegory thought that by placing Jesuit on Joseph, that's Jesus, in detention, that he would be forced to use his divine powers to reveal his mastery to the world. Indeed, the paradox is that what you term as power is often the polar opposite of love.
Yeah.
It's like love and hate, but hate being power. So do you see how ego and power can deceive?
Absolutely.
Do you? Ego and self-aggrandizement oft seduces even highly evolved souls, and inevitably leads to the downfall.
So there you go. That is the downfall of Atlantis. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. And if you have any chat questions, let us know. Next week, we're going to talk about the 9 crystals that were left on the planet. And I can't tell you any more than that because I don't know any more than that yet. I haven't read it yet. But wow. How many of you guys were actually out there feeling chills like us? Because I was getting full body chills all through it. And our next show will be on Saturday, and we have Majestic Oracle. Our friend Jay Marcus will be here at 3 p.m. Eastern, our normal time. So I hope you guys will join us for that. Yeah. And if you don't have any questions, then I suggest we read some cards.
But I was really, really interested in what really happened with Atlantis, and that told so much. And reminded me a lot of what's going on today.
I will put the links in this afternoon. Once it goes uploaded and I can make comments, I'll put the links in there. But it is basically from the book, The Earthkeeper Chronicles by James Tiberon, Tyberonn. And he was channeling Archangel Metatron, who gave him the information. And it was published in 2009. But I will put all that information in here so everybody has it. Because it blew my mind. it just totally blew my mind.
The next article is blowing mine.
This is definitely a bit of galactic history for sure.
Yes, it is.
Like I said, I went to my Akashic Records guides and asked them if this information was true and correct, and I received a yes. So
I related to it very quickly.
well, you said every time you tried to shorten it, they would go, no. Your guide would say, nope, leave it in. Leave it in.
Leave it in. She needs to read that. Leave it in. She needs to read that.
I sense that you all, God said, I feel I already know this because I started parts of it on my channel without reading it. I don't know. I'm not sure, Ron. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Because I started to tell parts of it on my channel without reading it. Right.
Ah,
interesting.
so
I believe that there's so many of us here from Atlantis that we are all starting to remember our lives there and instances there, especially those that have gone into their Akashic records and have retrieved information, which is where I learned about my experience in Atlanta as well as Lemuria.
And if you've been working with this already, all we're doing is reassuring you, reaffirming what you have already had, and it's not a question for you anymore. It's true.
It's true.
Reaffirmed.
I would agree with that, Heather. I love that. So who would like cards? I don't see anybody asking for cards. Maybe I should put up a little banner. Of course,
this was so heavy. Maybe we ought to let them think about it. There was a lot in it.
There was a lot in it.
Yeah.
Okay, White Dragon wants cards. Hi, Akila. Welcome. So glad you and Ron could come today. Oh, please watch it over, Akila. I found it mind blowing. And Ron, it resonated.
More stuff every time you do.
Yeah. And Ron says it resonated with him as well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Oh,
just means what you were doing before was right.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just confirming for you.
It's just a fascinating story, and I can't wait to read the rest of it. I really wanted to buy the book, but boy, that price keep me from doing it.
Downloading it.
$999. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Download.
And Lark says, Lark will take a card. Okay, it's the Gentleman's Day, I guess. Yes, it relates to the work with the ley lines. Absolutely.
Yes. Excuse me, I dropped some cards.
Okay, White Dragon.
I'm back.
I'm using my Kyle Gray Angels and Ancestors cards. I love them. So, although I should be using some alien cards. One of these days I'll get them out here. I have my Star Treks.
Well, I have some new ones, but I'm not ready to use them yet. I just started looking at them. So we'll use some other ones. And not these. I wish.
Okay, 4 White Dragon.
What's this? Okay.
Okay, White Dragon. I love this. The Direction Guardian. Choose your path. And he's got. Of course, these guardians are all our guardian angel types, and he's the Direction Guardian. He has a white buffalo, a lion, an eagle, and then his wings. And he's just saying, choose the path. And the air guardian is saying, shift your perception slightly. If there's something bugging you, just take a look from that eagle's point of view, that eagle's perception, and it'll clarify it. And make sure you shed anything that's not for your benefit, for your highest good. It's the snake that shed the old skin. You got it, Gypsy JJ. Shed your old skin. So I'm thinking that there's some stuff that you need to let go of. And to do that, you're going to shift your perception slightly. And because the Direction Guardian is saying, choose the path you want. Okay. I think that makes sense. It made sense to me. Here's a quick question before
Before I
you.
read,
Mhm. Question. Does this person pertain to Crystal Skull? You know, there was a mention of how that they were moving the crystal skulls
because they had information in
because
that.
of the information in them. I can't remember exactly where it was, but there were crystal skulls mentioned, and that they had moved them into the safer. I think they said those had moved to Bolivia. Is that
Yeah, they
right?
were to safety because they had so
Yeah.
much data in them. Yeah. Anyway, going back to White Dragon. The first card was first shock Archangel Michael. Oh, I froze.
His best friend.
Uh-huh. Yeah, stability and security. So you know you have that already. And you also, the next card was door to personal healing and happiness. I'm sorry, I'm frozen, but it will stop in a little bit.
Eventually.
Yeah. So anyway, you may be starting on some new things. And that would refer to her saying, choose your path. So you may be starting some things there. And then it also said that there's a woman behind you holding a heart. And that has to do with family love. And
I think it's his granddaughter.
I think it does. It is too.
I think
Somebody
it's
hold it's love and emotion. So I imagine that also has something to do with it. But the door to personal healing and happiness, when she says choose a path, that's what they're reviewing. I mean, you choose how you're going to get there. Okay.
Right.
But it's there for you. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Ron and Akila, if you want cards pulled, let us know, sweeties. Lark is next.
Okay, Lark. Thank you. Yeah, my screen usually goes completely white before it comes back. It hasn't done that yet.
You're welcome, White Dragon. Thank you. Thank you for sending us
Information. It's wonderful.
information. Fascinating.
Yes. Well
Okay.
worth reading. Okay, Lark.
Beautiful cards, Lark. You got the Knight that says be brave and honest. Speak your truth and always be honest. Come from your heart. The Eagle says look from a higher perspective. You know how the eagles are. They can always see things from a different, higher perspective than we can. And then you've got this beautiful medicine mother that says honor your inner knowing. So you have the information within you. You just have to trust and be honest with yourself, trust yourself, speak your truth. Make sure you're looking at it from all the different angles that you can, and then honor that inner knowing. Okay.
Okay.
Next, Heather.
Yes. The first card that I pulled for you, Lark, was rest and rejuvenation. Basically, it's time for you to relax a little bit. You've been working really, really hard. And you also, see, I'm back now. And it rest and rejuvenation. Okay. And then you also had Michael. That's rest and rejuvenation. You also have Michael there to back you up. And the last card that I drew was all tied up, which means sometimes you feel like you're not moving forward, that there's something holding you back. But while I was shuffling, this one flew out. And this one says attachment. You're perceiving something that you think you need, but instead you should be letting it go. When you let it go, feeling like you're sitting still is going to stop.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense with my reading.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But remember, you have Archangel Michael on your side, and they're telling you just to slow down a little bit, get a little easier on yourself. Everything will be fine.
Nice.
Take the time to look and see what it is that you probably would be better off without.
Well, that was the eagle perception. Look at it from a different perception, a higher a higher perception. Okay. Gypsy JJ.
Right.
Gypsy JJ's our last reading, unless somebody else has said they want. Okay, good. High Vibin wants a card. You got it.
Okay, I had 3 that spit out. That's enough.
Okay. Gypsy JJ. Anybody that didn't get in here and see the whole show, I hope you go back and watch, because it was a bone chilling, no, it was a chill producing show.
Yeah.
Body chills, unbelievable.
Well, I'll go ahead, talk since you're still shuffling.
Go ahead.
And the first card that all 3 of these flipped out, which means I didn't draw them. They were just, so the first one that flipped out was storm warning. It says that there's, you might have a little bit of bother to worry about or coming in the horizon. It's coming your way. But do remember that you have your health and vitality. You are a healer. Don't be afraid to use that. Okay. So there is a storm coming up, but you are the healer. So you can help everybody. And the third card was a contract. So what came to my mind was it's in your life contract that this is going to happen. And it's all part of the learning process. It's just things that you said you wanted to happen, even if you don't want them right now. It's kind of like my hearing. I said, no, they can't fix it. That's part of your contract. I said, okay.
Well, some things are and some things aren't. That's just the way it is, isn't it?
That's the way it is.
It's a pain in the butt, but that's the way it is. White Dragon is laughing. He said they said you all needed to do this. Who's
What?
they, White Dragon? Who is they you're talking about?
They
Gypsy
said what?
JJ? They said we needed to do this show.
Yes. Well, I felt like as soon as I read it, I said, okay, this is show. And there's more coming, just different.
Yes. Okay, Gypsy JJ, I have the Magic Guardian that says, stop looking outside of yourself because you have all the information you need inside.
Exactly. You are the healer.
And the Druid is saying, hold your space. Stay where you are at the moment. Don't make any big changes. Don't go looking for trouble. It's just saying, hold your space. You have the information inside of you. Hold your space and set your sights higher because the sky's the limit. This is the Stargazer. So these are really lovely cards. Trust yourself. You got that magic within you. You don't need to look anywhere else. Go inside. Stay humble. Stay quiet. No major moves at the moment.
Be you.
Be you and set your sights higher.
Yeah.
The options are immeasurable. Nice card. I like that.
Yep.
The record keepers told him that. Well, we appreciate them.
Yes.
Okay, let's see who's next. I think it's High Vibin.
Who?
High Vibin.
Hi, Vibin. Okay.
Hi, Maria. Welcome to the show. Oh, I love your figure 8. What's it called? That symbol?
Infinity.
Well, the infinity symbol, but there's another one. I can't remember what. I can't remember it. Okay. Okay, let's see what we have to say for High Vibin. Spirit Fox, trust your talents in changing times. Release the old and rest and be the light that you are. Oh, I love that. Beautiful cards. So our wonderful Spirit Fox, trust your talents in these changing times and the changing talents. I don't know about you guys, but my gifts continue to morph.
Yeah,
It's just,
mine too. Mine too.
they're like morphing all the time. And then I've got the autumn card, which is, I say the raven. I think it's a raven rather than a crow. Release the old and rest. So kind of review what's been going on in the last year and whatever it is that's not resonating with you any longer or isn't for your highest good, let that shit go. And be the light that you are, the white witch that you are. You have your familiar with this owl and the pentagram up here. And she's full of nature with fruit and ivy and what is that big moth called? That humongous moth. It's beautiful. It's you wanting to be released out into the world with all that love that you have to offer. So be that light.
Yeah, and my cards go with that because the very first card flew out, and it's anxiety. And what it's saying is that there's a real good possibility that you're worried about something. And then the first card I pulled was the seat. So you may be worried about somebody trying to manipulate you to do something that you don't really want to do. Okay. And they were saying if that's the case, walk away. You don't need it. And she just said, review what you've got, and that which you no longer need, get rid of. And that's what they're saying.
Sweet.
So,
Well, I hope those resonated.
okay, Akila.
Thank you, Gypsy JJ. Hi, Ivan says that resonates so much. And Gypsy JJ says, amazing. I humbly thank you and your spirit guides. We thank our spirit guides too.
Yeah, we do.
So this would be Miss Akila.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shuffled these cards, but I got two of the cards I had before. Well, I've gotten all these today. Direction Guardian. Choose your direction. Go within. You have so many talents. Go within and decide what new direction you want to take. Because the options are really open for you. And the Spirit Fox comes up again, and I love him. Trust your talents in changing times. We're all having trouble trusting what we're getting, but trust it. It's a big lesson that we are all learning right now. Trust and imagination are the keys. And it's autumn. So again, I've got the raven and release the old and rest. So go within, see what's no longer resonating with you, and let that shit go out the window.
Yep. This one's similar. It talks about a thinking man, somebody that you respect, and they seem to have a lot of understanding, have a lot of wisdom. But the next card is walking away from it. So I'm wondering if maybe you're farther along than you thought and don't really need him anymore. Because what they said after that is the cornucopia card. And your wishes are going to be fulfilled.
Oh, lovely.
So don't be afraid to go off on your own. You have what you need. You did a lot of work with this person. And I don't know if it's male or female. It says male, but it could be female. And they helped you a great deal. But at this point, you don't need them. And it's time to move on. And then your wishes will be fulfilled because you are in control. Okay.
She's what?
In control.
Right.
You're not doing what somebody else.
And you are an angel. That's what you said. Yeah. And you are an angel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I actually think she is, but okay. So that's it for card readings today. That's it for the show today, I guess. So please join us Saturday when we have the wonderful, I'm sorry, what?
Do you want one for the collective?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, we don't have to.
No, we always do. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Saturday, Miss J, Majestic Oracle, is going to join us. Next week, we're going to talk about the crystals of Atlantis that are apparently still on
Survived.
our planet. That's going to be exciting. I can't wait to read that.
They may be in a different dimension, but they're on our planet.
Well, they are locked. They are locked.
Yeah.
I can take you if you need me to. Okay, let's see what the card for the collective is. I love it. It's the shaman card. Isn't that lovely? Trust in the higher forces. That's just beautiful. Akila says that resonates so much.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And this is the fourth chakra, Archangel Raphael, and he's love and compassion and self-acceptance. So make sure that you are accepting yourself. It's so
Lots
much
of self-love this week, folks.
A lot of self-love this week.
Yeah, that's great. Self-love and trust in the higher forces. What more do you need?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think those are pretty great cards.
Yes.
White Dragon says it was a great show, Crones. You get an A++. Woo!
Thank you.
I'm not sure we've ever done that before. Awesome. Thank you guys for all being here. You know how much we love and appreciate you being here, and just
we
being
love
here
you.
in the feeling the vibes is enough.
Yes.
I
It's the
mean,
vibes.
truly, it is. Go out and shine your light this week. Spread the love and light that you have within, and share it with all those people that really need it, that don't see a lot of love.
And that includes yourself.
Self-care. Remember the card, self-care this week. We love you. We'll see you Saturday. Have a wonderful week.
Saturday.